Well, hello, my fellow Americans and fellow Christians. Thank you for taking time to listen today as I speak on the American Hypocrite. Many may not like what I'm about to speak or say, but as time goes on, it is important to reveal, sometimes to a nation and sometimes to a church, the realities that are facing it. My friends, what is generally overlooked in our country is whether Democrat, Republican, or unassociated, is that personal vices induce private hypocrisy. This has brought the high standards of difficulties we are currently experiencing. The tyranny being enacted in France by citizens is significant. Watching a betrayal of the principles of a government and seeing the citizens of France actions where neither law or morality assumes a right of personal control. We are witnessing a callous future where no righteous man will be found. The riots in France are our possible future. We are seeing that any evils that press upon the public is no longer put in deliberation of the law, for the impatience of the public enacts their own passions as they warrant, disregarding civilized government for that of despotism. Citizens becoming tyrants themselves. Our trouble today in America is we think we are untouchable, never siding with the real facts of merit that face us. We have in America here today been blindsided by the information age of social media. It has brought us the reality of imperfect or manufactured information, sometimes declared as true. Social information often works towards an agenda to dupe the public. All this infers and reveals there is an inequality in social media. The Oversight Committee, if you will, is not monitoring what is true or what is false. What people are reading, listening to, or watching is taken under pretense. In many cases, it is a manipulation or AI generated. And no citizen is able to prove the nature intended through social media, due to the fact participants do not know the source. The public has no way of knowing what is true or what is false. We're living in an age where those in power control the manipulation of media, and they are considered superior simply because of their control through wealth, position, or power. This control can ruin and curse a nation. It brings violence to the nation, as we have seen with January 6th. It compromises the interests of a civilized society. The effects of a controlled social media, whether personal or corporate or by the state, for a personal agenda and not for the objectivity of a free society, produces all forms of struggle in the public. It encourages and portrays a deep-seated dictatorial power behind the scenes manipulating the public through media power, leaving the public to the rage of beasts. The advent of journalism and television such as Time, CBS, The Washington Post, and the Los Angeles Times had as their forerunners men who had America's interest at heart. Their dedication was to report the truth, the big stories, honestly to the American public. Their concern was the welfare of the country. It was their driving force. We now see it has all been in vain, as times have changed and public opinion no longer matters. It is who is in power. As we see in France, the public feels there is absolutely no reason to believe in affluent and intelligent men who will enforce the law. They see a manipulation by those in power. So in France, rioting is due to the denial of participation in the legality of the law. The citizens turn to their natural defense, which is violent force. So they take matters into their own hands, driven by the false narrative, there is no justice, fueled by social media. Thus, we see the public in France has made the decision it is the irresponsibility of those in power who have overturned their belief in justice and their belief that justice will prevail in their country, forcing a retaliation which has had dire consequences. It could cause an insurgency of the public, overthrowing the entire country, with the reminder, nothing is impossible in our time. Our democracy in America is capable of producing these same results. Due to the fact America is no longer inspired by the public opinion, law and order is the rule of the country. Democracy is producing an American hypocrisy that is flourishing in its prime, corrupting the principles and interests of the country. This has never been ever more evident, with violence ravaging the land and what has been generated by the ill-fated January 6th committee. It has instilled in the country that as honor has bidden them to obey, they chose to let loose upon the country warring realms seeking by haste its ruin. The failure of January 6th committee has put active power in Trump's hands, making him stronger than the law. And with such power, Trump has shown his disgraceful desire to govern by means of conspiracy politics, which January 6 allowed to be prevalent, dealing Americans the misconception of civil rights, with his total intention to overstep every form of the law. What is generally overlooked in our country, whether Democrat, Republican, or unassociated, that personal vices controlled by power behind the scenes induces hypocrisy. This has brought the high standards of difficulties we are experiencing. It ought to be impressed on every man's mind that in our democracy we have tyranny and a monarchy in the guise of freedom. Our leaders are in opposition of truth and justice. They overly prove this from the January 6th committee. It is a power out of the public's hands that continues to allow their voice of corruption to erode the nation. A nation claiming law and order, yet there was no justice done. It has become an American hypocrisy. The powers that be are giving us the absurd and calling it genius. No offense, but the January 6th committee did nothing but give us a magic bullet, setting loose on society a furor, wreaking havoc. All I see is sheer hypocrisy. We have been taught an invaluable lesson concerning Trump, how easily those in power can manipulate and deceive the public in a democratic society. This is why I say it is possible. The riots in France are possible in America. There may be a day when this will arise in the country, just as I have said at the beginning. That the impatience of the public, being lied to about law and order, will enact their own passions as they warrant, disregarding the promises of law and order as they continue to witness a corrupt power to rule behind the scenes. Citizens then becoming tyrants themselves, all due to hypocrisy. The lack of decision by the January 6th committee is having serious consequences upon the American public. It has proceeded to give us a Marxist theory from an animal's point of view, alluding to class struggle, driving a wedge into the common purpose of the public, and dictating it has the power to do as it wills, revealing it does not have the same will or ideals as the public. It will do as it pleases. Such is our time. So often I have mentioned everything is relative. The hypocrisy concerning Trump is the same hypocrisy evangelical leaders employ supporting Trump. Evangelical leaders who claim to be of God, such as Franklin Graham, Greg Laurie, Ken Copeland, John Hagee, Dr.Jeffress, to name a few. There are many, many more. They claim to have faith in Jesus Christ. But let me take a moment to point out to you some things about Trump. We know he has lied right to the face of the American people. He has even said he has lied. He has borne false witness as he has said he has borne false witness. He is accused of stealing documents and he has admitted he has had them. He has been indicted on adulterous affairs where there was a payoff. He has never been seen in church on a regular basis. He has been indicted on coveting other women. He constantly reviles others without impunity. He has coveted the presidency by lying about it. What I just mentioned is 6 of the 10 commandments broken. He has been deceptive concerning the Christian faith, and our Lord said, "Take heed no man deceives you, and ye shall know them by their fruits." None of the Christian leaders I mentioned above have departed from this man who does not have any characteristics of a Christian. He is considered unrighteous, walking completely in the flesh. He does not have the Spirit of Christ, yet they support him, and that makes them evangelical hypocrites, having the spirit of delusion St. Paul prophesied would come. The Christian and evangelical church today has become a place of hypocrisy, supporting sin, evil, and every form of wickedness. We read in the Scriptures, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits." We see as well the televangelistic evangelical elite manipulate through the power of media. The few in control of Christian television have become the source of producing what their agenda or beliefs are. It is not about what Christ intends, but what they will, such as claiming Christ, but preaching a political figure as the mainstay of their future. These men have become the religious hypocrites of our time. Christianity is no longer upon Christ's virtuous plans. They have become kings and monarchs to their followers, masters born with millions of slaves. Christ has been restrained, his virtues reversed by American religious hypocrites. So, my friends, is the American hypocrite today. And so, my friends, remain the guardians of the rights of the public, protect against the forces of power to manipulate, and above all, remain faithful to Christ and his gospel. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.